All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern on the GSMC Sports Network. Talk about, the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. So this is kind of reflecting on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE SmackDown review, WWE Monday Night Raw preview, and then we're going to talk about. Then we talked about MVP coming to AEW. We also talked about Vince McMahon. The first episode we talked about, kind of broke it down, one by one. Kind of took a little longer than expected. I apologize. So now we're going to talk about some Orange Cassidy naming the best wrestlers in AEW. So yeah, let's go and talk about some freshly squeezed from wherever, weighing in at whatever. Orange Cassidy, freshly squeezed. I love myself some Orange Cassidy. I thought, I think it's pretty badass. Basically, Orange Cassidy, he's been with AEW since its existence. AEW has kind of been a place where a lot of these professional wrestlers had a second chance of kind of proving themselves, and a lot of people kind of hated that. A lot of the, WWE personnel wanted to kind of reiterate, wanted to kind of bring back this concept of a Monday Night War once again, which I think is baloney, which is BS, crazy. I don't think that they want to fight with WWE. Obviously, WWE's WWE. AEW, after being in existence with 5 years, they have their 5-year anniversary Dynamite show on Wednesday. You're queuing in at like 50,000 to 650,000 people. That's not bad. That's very good for a wrestling fan base for a promotion. It's kind of like a baby. You know what I mean? Like when your baby's born, it's like you're expecting him to walk. This guy's running. Like he's running. He's sprinting, dude. And he might even fly. I'm just kidding. But I that's why I heavily respect what Tony Khan has done with AEW. Not a lot of people had that certain patience. You saw TNA have so much success during the 2006, 2010. Once when Dixie Carter left, and she left with her dad's panda energy, you know, uh, you know, financial backing, I guess you can say. I'm not sure if that's the right wording to it. TNA was kind of left on their ass. You know what I mean? They were left on the fact that they kind of had to do things on their own. They're like, all right, now we have to actually rely on good bookings. We got to rely on superstars doing their job. But then who comes into the mix? The people who destroyed WCW, Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan. Harvey with a creative content clause saying, "Oh, I can choose whoever I want to lose to." Like, you know what I mean? Once again, it faltered. It went under. Not really much of a surprise. But I don't know. I feel like AEW is in a great place where it is right now, and I thought, it's actually kind of cool. They do claim that this is where the best actually wrestle. During his recent appearance on the Wrestling Podcast conversation of the best wrestlers in AEW, Orange Cassidy said, and I quote, "You can't say Bryan Danielson. You can't say Bryan Danielson because, yeah, we know he's the best wrestler." Once again, showing that Bryan Danielson is definitely, he left WWE for a reason. Back then it was under bad booking, bad storytelling, storylines that were dog crap. And he left and he came to the AEW and he helped build it to what it was today. And Tony Khan, from the moment Bryan Danielson debuted in AEW, he wanted to put the strap on him, wanted him to become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Bryan Danielson was like, no, what you should be doing is don't be making the mistakes that WWE has. Just because you have someone like Brock Lesnar come back into the mix, you see Roman Reigns returning, you've kind of had a lot of examples where a lot of people were kind of, they kind of gave him the title, like, wait a minute, like, whoa, 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 that's crazy. Bryan Danielson was like, you know what? You need to promote some of these young guys. Then you have the Hangman Adam Page win, Samoa Joe, MJF, Swerve Strickland win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and it's fitting. It seems like it was it was perfect. It was an unselfish move by Bryan Danielson. So Orange Cassidy, I feel like, since he's kind of seen the birth of this wrestling promotion and that's seeing how it is right now, I can bet you 1,010% he still believes that this is where the best wrestle. And it's I like AEW. AEW right off the bat was a different alternative to what wrestling fans were kind of succumbed to, kind of what was forced down their throat. WWE was the only long-standing, wrestling promotion that people were like, you know what? I want to watch professional wrestling, but there's not really any on main cable television that, basically being like, this is what I have. This is my only option. So let's take it. I'm going to watch it, even if it was bad. And WWE, whoo, WWE had some really bad bookings. It was crazy. Bad storylines. Oh my God, it was god awful. It was god awful. But what other choice did we have as wrestlers? And that's something that WWE definitely played to their advantage. They're like, all right, let's start cutting down our pay-per-views to like 4 or 5 matches. Guess what? Hey, it doesn't really matter. People are going to watch us anyways. We don't have any competition. Now you have AEW Dynamite. Then you have Collision. Then, Rampage. And now you have, All In, All Out. You also have, Double or Nothing. I can say from the bottom of my heart, and obviously, I love WWE. I love wrestling. I feel like WWE, their pay-per-views, although they are good, they're all good. No one's disputing that fact. But they could be great. They could be so much better. And I feel like AEW's pay-per-views definitely kick WWE's ass 1,010%. They might not kill them on the weekly, storytelling shows. They might be not as successful as Raw or SmackDown. But when PLEs and pay-per-views, I feel like AEW does a really good job. Kind of crazy. So AEW admitted that Kazuchika Okada, obviously former New Japan Professional Wrestling star and the current AEW Continental Champion, was definitely on his list. He also talked about Will Ospreay, the aerial assassin, the AEW International Champion, was on his list as well. Kenny Omega, not really surprising there, and I thought it was kind of crazy. The whole Orange Cassidy gimmick was brought up from James Cripley, May 4th of 1984. No, that's his real name. He was born, but his gimmick was based on the scene in the wet hot American summer involving Paul Rudd. The king of sloth style. Even today, you kind of see him go. He doesn't care. He's slow. But that's why people love Orange Cassidy. And then 1,010%, a lot of signs inside the audience talk about freshly squeezed. And, it's only fitting. It's only fitting. He was ESPN's Wrestlers Male Breakout Star in 2020. He's 40 years of age. That's insane. I can't believe he's 40 years old. He looks great. Looks great. He looks like a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, and he's still kicking ass. Once again, kind of, going on behalf of what Bleacher Report, we talked about Orange Cassidy's opinions about who exactly does, entails of AEW's greatest wrestlers. Just kind of a quick report because Bleacher Report reported their top 10 AEW wrestlers. And, if you disagree with that, obviously let me know within the chat. Obviously, I do have a lot of, disagreements as well. Bleacher Report at number 10, you had Sting. At number 9, Cody Rhodes. Number 8, Britt Baker. Number 7, Hangman Adam Page. 6, you had Chris Jericho. 5, you have Bryan Danielson. 4, you have the Young Bucks. 3, you have MJF. 2, you have Kenny Omega. And 1, you have Jon Moxley. I would have, I really love Jon Moxley in that kind of spot. Obviously, Kenny Omega deserves it. 1,010%. Dave Meltzer rated, him, Ospreay, Okada. A lot of their matches, 7.5 out of 5, 9.5 out of 5 stars. So, gotta definitely love that. MJF as well. He's been seen, he's been talked about as, the Dwayne The Rock Johnson of All Elite Wrestling. And, I can't really dispute that. The Rock wasn't really successful until he turned on the fans before he went heel. And MJF, he goes out there and he just gets under the skin of all the fans out there. So they are heavily invested on what he has to say. They're heavily invested on his matchups. But most importantly, they're heavily invested on his opponent's matchups. Because MJF could take any low rising star and be like, hey, put him in a match against me on the PLE, on a pay-per-view on AEW. Guess what? I'll make him the star the next day. And that's something that MJF has done really, really well. The Young Bucks, I feel like we're special. Obviously, this whole elite thing's kind of been a downfall of them. Bryan Danielson, of course, that's not really any different there. Love the conglomeration. Love what he's doing within, Kyle O'Reilly. I love that he's there with the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Mark Briscoe, and you have oh my God, you have Ishii as well, part of the conglomeration. And I feel like it's perfect. When is AEW going to push this young man? Well, he's 40 years old, but he still looks like a young man. He still looks like a young man. When are they going to push the young man once again? I'm not too sure. I want to see something more for Orange Cassidy. He's definitely one of the best wrestlers. When you talk to other AEW wrestlers, Orange Cassidy is part of their top five. So, it's obviously he's not going to have his own name on the list. But I don't know. I like it when he comes out. I think it's cool for AEW. 1010%. I love the way he portrays himself inside the ring. The King of Sloth style doesn't really have to be big. Doesn't really have to be fast. Doesn't really have to be quite compelling enough to kind of get the fans on the edge of the seat. The reason why Orange Cassidy is loved in the AEW universe is this his overall just his personality. His personality, 1010%, obviously portraying the person you see right there, Paul Rudd under what was it again? The wet, hot American summer. Kind of crazy how you just be like, you know what? That's going to make me money. That idea right there is going to make me millions of dollars. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be loved by thousands of wrestling fans because I'm going to look like Paul Rudd during that movie. So I thought that was, kind of interesting, kind of cool to kind of talk about here on tonight's show. All right, guys. So, that's it for me. Obviously, that's my Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend once again. 1010% here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love you guys. We appreciate each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily. So just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. 1010%. Remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. No, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok for more content and updates from the GSMC Sports Network. And once again, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got my boy Emran's GSMC Soccer Podcast coming up. We got Tommy's GSMC College Football Podcast. Saturdays are big, very, very big. What's bigger than Saturdays? Football, the NFL. You can catch NFL content on the Chip Shot Football Podcast with Manny or the GSMC Football Podcast with my boy Kenneth. Also talk about sports all around with GSMC Sports. With TJ, we got Sports by GSMC. With TJ, no, with Jeremy. Sorry. We also got a lot of awesome sports content coming around. We got my boy Basketball. We got my boy Nelson talking about. We got my boy Basketball talking Nelson. I like that actually. I don't know why, but that kind of rang. I'm just kidding. No, imagine someone naming their kid basketball. We got Chris Shepard with the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. Find out your stardoms, your situms, who to find off the waiver wire. Everybody knows that fantasy football could be a B, but at the end of the day, if you want to find out how to be successful, if you want your team to win it all at WrestleMania, tune in to the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast with Chris Shepard. Like I said, that's it for me. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend, an amazing Monday night. Stay beautiful, but once and most importantly, love you.